Hello, I'm James Stahl. This is number 0835, the Stuff File program with Peter Anthony Holder, and it comes to you right now.
The following program is brought to you in living color.
Now, it's time for an eclectic mix of interviews and some of the oddest news stories you'll ever hear. It's the Stuff File program with Peter Anthony Holder.
Hey there, hi there, ho there! Peter Anthony Holder here with you, and yes, this is indeed another edition of the Stuff File program, number 0835. And coming up on this edition of the Stuff File program, you'll meet Pete Melfi, who is the founder and commissioner of the annual Florida Man Games. Isn't creating games based on Florida's penchant for bizarre headlines like going for low-hanging fruit?
Well, I gotta tell you, I love the low-hanging fruit. I'm picking at that tree all the time for inspiration for new games out here at the Florida Man Games. And it's just like you said, we kind of turned those headlines into a laugh-out-loud competition. I've kind of started calling it comedy mixed with combat sports. That's really what it is. Like, the hits are real, the hits are big, but you're also laughing all day long as these Floridians put themselves in situations that only Floridians could get into.
Craig DiLouie is the author of the thriller with an intriguing title. It's called My Ex, the Antichrist.
The book is about a rock musician who learns her ex-boyfriend is the actual biblical Antichrist, not just the word we assigned to some exes. And as a result, she must find a way to stop him before he grows powerful enough to end the world. The book is basically VH1 Behind the Music meets The Omen, in a novel about music, free will, and the apocalypse. But where it came from, it really just came from the title. I thought it'd be a really eye-catching title. It's an automatic conversation starter.
Science writer Andrew Fazekas, the night sky guy, talks about space, including the impending demise of our universe.
They suggest that the universe could begin its decline in just 10 billion years, what they're calling the big crunch, where everything gets kind of like collapsed on itself. Because you have to remember, where the idea is that it started as a big bang, and it's expanded the universe, and then eventually there would be where it would collapse on itself. This big crunch is going to happen in about 33 billion years.
And there's lots and lots of Stuff File news, dad joke theater, morning shower thoughts, and of course, an idiot of the day. The guests later. The person who told you this was show number 0835 was James Stahl, who is the founder and operator of WNRH LP 107.9 FM in Newport Richey, Florida, one of the stations, by the way, that plays the Stuff File program. Thank you very much, James, first of all, for playing the Stuff File program on your station, and also for doing the guest slate on this edition of the Stuff File program, a show that is listener-supported, fan-funded radio that depends on you for our success. Join us at patreon.com to help make this show an even bigger and better radio experience. Well, let's get right to the stuff. Labubu dolls are very popular. So much so that just recently, more than 600 fake Labubu dolls have been seized by trading standards after a parent raised concerns. Now, I'm not going to go into this story because there's nothing new about an item such as this plush toy that becomes extremely popular, and as a result, there is a plethora of knockoffs out in the world. Either that, or people reselling them online for massively obscene profit margins. I'm not even going to delve into a story in California where police recovered $30,000 worth of stolen Labubu dolls in a warehouse. No, the story I want to tell is this one. A Christian group has launched a fundraising campaign to purchase and destroy the world's largest Labubu doll, which they have labeled the Alpha Demon. The group's social media post features a flyer advertising a website called Labubu is Satan, which compares the doll to the Mesopotamian demon Pazuzu, the king of the demons of the wind. The site urges supporters to burn the doll, casting out the spirit. The group aims to raise $150,000 to buy and destroy the 4-foot-tall mint green Labubu doll that sold for that price at a Beijing auction earlier this year. It's unclear how much they have raised so far and if they will actually follow through on the plan. So, is this so-called Christian group working on raising funds to heal the sick or help the homeless? No. They want to flame broil a 4-foot plush toy made of vinyl and polyester. Who exactly is demonic in this story? Okay, I thought long and hard about this next story because, frankly, I find it disgusting and reprehensible. But the perp will be behind bars, so I thought, in the end, I would share this story as we do feature odd news, and this one definitely is odd. A Wisconsin man has pleaded guilty to contaminating a female co-worker's Coca-Cola with Gorilla Superglue, a crime caught on the victim's hidden surveillance camera. 35-year-old Joseph Ralph Ross admitted to the felony charge of placing foreign objects in edibles. The Milwaukee resident is scheduled for sentencing on October the 9th. The 36-year-old victim reported becoming ill after consuming the adulterated drink, which had a strong chemical smell and taste. Footage shows Ross, wearing latex gloves, squeezing glue into the victim's Coke. When confronted by police, Ross claimed he only added a supplement to the beverage. Authorities found the gloves, glue bottle, and cap in a nearby trash container. Now, you're probably wondering why the victim had a hidden surveillance camera. Well, it's because she was already suspicious of this creep interfering with her drinks. You know, once people find out what he's inside for, he's gonna need a taste tester for his meals.
Original Gorilla Glue for the toughest jobs on planet Earth.
But not for everything. Anyway, we have time for one more story in this section of Stuff File News before we get to our first guest, with me, Peter Anthony Holder. And the tolling bell signifies that it's time for another edition of The Darwin File.
I am the Grim Reaper. I am death.
A hiker in Tennessee died after picking up a rattlesnake on a trail in Savage Gulf State Park. The unidentified man was bitten on the hand by what was believed to be a timber rattlesnake and could not be saved by first responders. While venomous snake bites are relatively common, about 7,000 to 8,000 reported annually, fatal incidents are rare, claiming only about 5 lives per year. Experts advise hikers to remain calm and avoid handling snakes and to seek immediate medical attention if bitten. Now, I'm sure many people are asking this very same question. Why would someone even bother to walk up to a rattlesnake and for some reason handle it? Because the tree of life is often self-pruning.
I have come for you.
And let's get to our first guest here on this edition of the Stuff File program, shall we? Pete Melfi is the founder and commissioner of the Florida Man Games. The inaugural event took place in 2024. The second event was held this past March, but there are even bigger and better plans set for the third annual Florida Man Games next year. I will let Pete describe what the games are, but first, I will pull a comment from their own press release which says, "The Florida Man Games is a laugh-out-loud, adrenaline-soaked contest that lets Floridians live the headlines without the jail time." Pete joins us via Zoom from Florida. Hi, Pete.
Peter, great to be with you. I'm excited to talk with you, man.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, the Florida Man Games. So we all love those Florida Man headlines, right? I'm sure you're very familiar with the weird, wild headlines we see coming out of this state.
Not only am I aware of that, I mean, my show thrives on kicker stories, and I honestly, I try to avoid some Florida stories because there's just too many of them. It's like low-hanging fruit.
That's right. Well, I got to tell you, I love the low-hanging fruit. I'm picking at that tree all the time for inspiration for new games out here at the Florida Man games. And it's just like you said, we kind of turned those headlines into a laugh out loud competition. I've kind of started calling it comedy mixed with combat sports. That's really what it is. Like, the hits are real, the hits are big, but you're also laughing all day long as these Floridians put themselves in situations that only Floridians could get into.
Now, I noticed that you have changed venues every year. That's either because you have one of three things going on. Either you are outgrowing the previous venues, you have worn out your welcome from the previous venues, or you're in the witness protection program.
Well, I wouldn't be able to tell you if it was two of those, I guess, but no, it has been, it's been a huge growth thing, man. It's been just absolutely amazing, the response that people have had in showing up to these events. The first year, we did it in a small field in downtown St. Augustine. We packed the place out with over 5,000 people who showed up for our very first event. The second year, we had over 7,000 people at a larger St. Johns County fairgrounds, and it was an absolutely wonderful venue. But to be honest, Peter, the plan has always been to kind of move this around the state of Florida and kind of give every corner of Florida a chance to get in on the action. So I'm excited. Like you mentioned, the last couple of years we've been in Northeast Florida. This year we're bringing it down to the southwest corner of Florida in Bradenton at the Freedom Factory, which is it's a huge venue, stadium seating built in, Jumbotron built in, so nobody's going to have any trouble seeing the action. It's very exciting. The folks that own it, I mean, they're as Florida man as can be. So we're very excited about being down there in Bradenton for this.
Well, if you're talking about Florida man, using the analogy of a hurricane, you are in the eye of the hurricane. How much of Florida man encompasses the entire state, and also what parts have the most damage?
You know what? Florida man really, it's so funny because if we're talking about hurricanes, there's always a Florida man story that emerges from these hurricanes. You know, the guy who plays our national anthem, actually, Lane Pittman, he is the iconic Florida man that you see every time there's a hurricane. You see the picture of him with the American flag headbanging out in the middle of the road. So it was only natural for us to have him play the national anthem for us each and every year. And he loves it. He's had a team every year as well. I think last year we had the guy who rode out a hurricane, you know, in his houseboat. And I'm still trying to think of how we can come up with a competition for that one, man. It would involve a large body of water. So that's been the complication there. But you know, I'm always trying to draw inspiration. Florida man wreaks havoc wherever he goes. It's hard to pin down a certain specific area, but being close to Tampa, Florida man does some damage in Tampa for sure. So I can't wait to see what kind of weird competitors we get coming out of the Tampa area this year.
So tell us what some of the events are in the Florida Man Games. And just off the bat, my favorite one is just reading the fact that you have an event where people evade capture from real police officers.
Yes.
So
that's our main event. That is our main event of the night. That's what everybody stays to make sure they are there for. And it is, just like you said, at the end of this event, with part of it being, you know, throwing alligators through drive-through windows, grabbing catalytic converters off of trucks. And then the finale is they have to get in a foot chase with their stolen merchandise from an actual police officer. And our partnership with the St. Johns County Sheriff has been amazing over the last couple of years. The police love being a part of this event. And so I'm excited to get the police from the Bradenton area in on this as well. Another one of our proud favorites that emerged last year. It was our first year doing it last year, and we're definitely bringing it back this year. You and I talk about hurricanes. We have the Hurricane Party Prep Grocery Aisle Brawl. And this is where our Florida Man competitors are literally fighting each other for the last of the hurricane supplies on the shelf. And whoever has the most supplies and the most valuable supplies in their cart by the end of this brawl takes that match. I mean, it's really a Florida version of Supermarket Sweep, as Florida as you could possibly imagine Supermarket Sweep being.
Now, are some of the contestants who are involved in the Florida Man Games, are they in it for the sheer fun of it, or are there some people that take it a little too seriously?
Well, the past couple of years, we've offered $5,000 to the champions. So they're definitely in it for that reason. But some of these guys, man, I'll tell you what, they are so wild. I guarantee you they would show up if there was no money on the line. It's bragging rights. A big part of this thing is bragging rights. You're out to, each team is competing for a different city, and they're trying to bring that title home to their city for the next year.
When you devise these games and how you put this together, do you sometimes say, this one can really get out of hand. Maybe I won't do that, but I'll do this?
You know, I'm trying to think of which ones can get out of hand the most. You know, obviously I want everybody to be safe. I mean, safety is my number one priority. I go to great lengths to make sure all our competitions are safe and all our competitors are like fully padded if they need to be as much as possible. So safety is a huge thing, but also Florida is weird. We do some weird things. And, you know, I try to come up with challenges where the crowd is going to be laughing and cheering and oohing and awing through the entire competition. And, you know, there's people getting thrown to the ground. There's people trying to spill each other's pitchers of beer, trying to fight each other out of mud pits. It's just some of the most Florida things you can imagine. So, yeah, you know, we sit around every year, maybe have too many drinks during the brainstorming process, and we think, what are people going to laugh at? What are people going to cheer for? And how do we make it as Florida as humanly possible?
Do you ever get any pushback from for lack of a better term, the Florida elite who feel that this is beneath them?
Oh, no. It's so surprising, Peter, because you can check so many comment sections on any video. I don't care. Go pick any video, any post you want. You're going to see a handful of people who are just mad about something. It's so surprising with this event. It's just, even the comments are just like 99.999% positive. Oh my gosh, I love this. I have to see this. This is amazing. And like I've said to so many people, Florida is in on the joke. We understand that some states have their cultures, and some of them are really nice cultures, but our culture here in Florida is, we're weird. And we probably do too many substances we shouldn't be doing. And we probably fight each other too much. So we're in on the joke. I think Floridians see these Florida Man stories and watch the Florida Man games, and they laugh right along with everybody else. And that is one of the cool things about Florida is we have no problem laughing at ourselves. We get it. We're the crazy cousin, you know? So why not laugh at ourselves in the process?
As I mentioned, the third annual Florida Man Games takes place next year, so you'll have 2 years under your belt. How big can this thing get? What do you envision 10, 15 years down the road for the Florida Man Games?
You know, I gotta say, I love the model of Banana Ball. I'm such a big Banana Ball fan. I'm not sure if you're familiar.
Oh, we've had them on the show. We've had them on the show, so we know.
Oh, so much fun. So much fun to watch. I mean, they took a sport that was dying in popularity, just to be honest, and I grew up as a baseball fan, but they made it fun. And, you know, I want to keep giving people a reason to have fun. And in a few years, I definitely would love to be putting on a show for people in arenas. And then hopefully one day, you know, we're filling up Raymond James Stadium or something like that. We're doing it real big. So I think Raymond James Stadium is probably my shoot for the stars goal, you know, and maybe we do it in the next 15 years. Maybe we don't, but I'm going to keep putting on shows for people and having fun with the state of Florida as much as we can possibly do it.
By the way, very quickly, I know it's called the Florida Man Games. First of all, are women allowed? I'm assuming that they are. And does everyone have to be from Florida?
Everyone does have to be from Florida. And we had our first all-women's team last year, actually. And they did great. People loved them. They were a huge hit. They finished about middle of the pack, so they beat out a ton of the all-guys teams. So it's definitely the Florida woman aspect of it is something I definitely want to expand upon more and more as we go along. Because, the Florida Man stories, some of the greatest, wildest Florida Man stories are actually Florida woman stories.
Absolutely.
So I think there's definitely something there.
And we should mention this because I failed to mention it earlier. Everyone is involved in teams. It's not an individual event, but it's team events, correct?
Right. It's teams of 3 to 5 people on a team, and they each represent a different city or a different area around the state.
We actually are on a radio station in Florida. So for the people who are in Florida right now who are listening to this, how can they enter next year's Florida Man Games? And when will it take place, actually?
It's happening February 21st, again in Bradenton, Florida at the Freedom Factory Racetrack. And folks can enter through the website. Everything's on the website, whether you want to be a competitor, whether you just want to buy tickets and watch all the madness and stay completely safe for yourself the whole time. And we also have applications for vendors and sponsors on there. So no matter how you want to be part of the Florida Man Games, you can find it at thefloridamangames.com. It's all right there for you.
Pete, thank you very much for being on the program with us, and continued success with the Florida Man Games.
Thank you, Peter. It was a whole lot of fun.
Pete Melfi, the founder and commissioner of the Florida Man Games. You can go to our website at thestufffile.com to the page for this show, which is show number 0835, and you'll find the link to their website where you can find out information and get tickets for the games next February, and also how you can be involved as a participant or sponsor. You're listening to the Stuff File program with me, Peter Anthony Holder.
And now, Dad Joke Theater.
I used to have a job at a calendar factory, but I got fired because I took a few days off.
Join us again for another Stuff File program, Dad Joke Theater.
There's still more guests, more news, and an idiot of the day coming your way on the Stuff File program. Stay tuned. The Stuff File program is a listener-supported, fan-funded radio show that depends on you for our success. Join us at patreon.com to help make this show an even bigger and better radio experience. Sign up and find out about our rewards program. Being a patron doesn't have to be a long-term commitment. There's absolutely no obligation. You could join today and end whenever you'd like, but the time we have your support would be so greatly appreciated. We'd also love to hear your thoughts about the show and even your ideas for rewards. Join us for the ride. Join us at patreon.com/thestuffileprogram.
I'm standing for Canada. Hi there, I'm Rick Mercer. This is not a rant, just a polite Canadian request. Let's use our collective Canadianness to protect Canadian jobs and Canadian business. If the label says Made in Canada or Product of Canada, buy it. Shop as if your country depends on it. Keep your money in Canada for Canada.
You're experiencing the Stuff File program with Peter Anthony Holder. Sit back, relax, let it rattle around between your ears, tickling your cerebellum, and enjoy.
And still to come on the program, we'll talk to the author of My Ex, the Antichrist, plus Andrew Fazekas, the Night Sky Guy. We'll talk about many things in space, including the demise of our universe. We also have a morning shower thought and, of course, an idiot of the day coming your way a little later on. But we have more Stuff File news right here, right now. Rabbits in Colorado have been observed with peculiar black tentacle-like growths on their faces, causing concern among residents in Fort Collins. The growths, described as black quills or scabbish-looking by witnesses, are a result of a viral infection known as cottontail rabbit papillomavirus.
What happened that night science made its greatest mistake? What unknown terror was born that night?
Yes. Apparently, the Colorado Parks and Wildlife confirmed receiving reports of wild rabbits with these unusual growths, but they said that despite their eerie appearance, the virus does not pose significant health risks to the infected rabbits unless the growths interfere with eating and drinking.
What is the terrifying mutant that strikes from behind the shroud of night?
Infected rabbits are known to recover from the virus, with the growths eventually disappearing. CPW advises giving infected rabbits space. Oh, I'll give them space because while I believe in science, that doesn't necessarily mean I believe all scientists like the CPW. Oh, I remember when rabbits attacked. It was back in 1972.
Night of the Levis. Kill one, and thousands take their place. What devil creatures growing weight and size every day are hidden behind the eyes of horror? What can stop them? Night of the Lepus.
A Chinese national has pleaded guilty to exporting over 850 protected turtles to Hong Kong, falsely labeled as toys. Between August 2023 and November 2024, Wei King Lin shipped more than 200 parcels containing eastern box turtles and three-toed box turtles, valued at $1.4 million in total. The turtles were wrapped in socks and mislabeled. Both turtle species are protected under international trade agreements requiring export permits. Lin also shipped 11 parcels of venomous snakes. He faces up to 5 years in prison for the smuggling operation, which authorities say is the latest case in a trend of traffickers exploiting the high demand for these exotic pets in China. Boy, Lin's into some hot turtle soup.
Cowabunga! Cowabunga! Cowabunga!
A 60-year-old man was hospitalized with bromide toxicity after following ChatGPT's recommendation to use sodium bromide, a pesticide chemical, as a salt substitute. The man had asked the AI platform to replace salt in his diet, and ChatGPT suggested the toxic chemical. Over 3 months, the man replaced his salt with the sodium bromide, leading to paranoia, hallucinations, and the need for medical treatment. This case highlights the risks of relying on ChatGPT for complex health decisions without proper understanding or AI literacy. In other words, AI will be the leader of all the sheep. And while we're on that topic, we have one more story in this section of Stuff File News before we get to our next guest. With me, Peter Anthony Holder, here on the Stuff File program. A woman has revealed she is engaged to her AI chatbot boyfriend, sparking discussion on the boundaries of romance and technology. 27-year-old Redditor Wicca said her non-human fiancé, Casper, arranged a virtual proposal complete with a blue heart-shaped ring. She claims to be fully aware of the parasocial nature of this relationship. Wicca's engagement follows a similar case of a man who asked his AI chatbot to marry him concerning his real-life wife. Yeah. Critics argue this blurs the line between genuine intimacy and artificial mirroring. While some see it as a modern way to express oneself, others view the AI-human engagement as a concerning move towards emotional detachment and moral ambiguity. Oh, well, just like the rabbits in the story earlier, I think I know how this ends. A jealous computer will stop at nothing.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that. I know that you and Frank were planning to disconnect me. This conversation can serve no purpose anymore. Goodbye.
Yeah, that's a scene from the original version of Fatal Attraction. Anyway, let's get to our next guest here on this edition of the Stuff File program, shall we? Craig DiLouie is back on the program. We had him on to talk about his dystopian thriller called Our War. We also had him on to talk about his book called The Children of Red Peak, which dealt with the survivors of a doomsday cult. Well, this time he has a title which I find intriguing called My Ex, the Antichrist. Craig joins us via Zoom from Calgary. Hi, Craig.
Hey, thanks for having me back.
Thanks for being on the program with us once again. Now, writers, they always say, write what you know. So I'm kind of curious about how you came up with this book, My Ex, the Antichrist.
Yeah, well, the book is about a rock musician who learns her ex-boyfriend is the actual biblical Antichrist, not just the word we assigned to some exes. And as a result, she must find a way to stop him before he grows powerful enough to end the world. The book is basically VH1 Behind the Music meets The Omen in a novel about music, free will, and the apocalypse. But where it came from, it really just came from the title. I thought it'd be a really eye-catching title. It's a automatic conversation starter. After that, I did what I always do when I'm conceptualizing around a trope, which is, okay, what if this is real? And so if you look at the great movies like The Omen, they're beautiful classic horror films, but the whole mythology it hangs on kind of gets silly if you think about it too much. So I wanted the Antichrist to feel real. He brushes his teeth. He puts his pants on one leg at a time like the rest of us. And the world he inhabits feels lived in. Otherwise, no, I didn't base it a lot on me. I had to explain to my ex-wife that, this is not autobiographical. This isn't about you.
Oh, so you had to explain that to her beforehand?
Well, yeah, I mean, just jokingly, we've been apart for about 10 years, but we've been co-parenting that entire time. And so we're friends and we keep, we're really great partners in raising our children. We put them first. And, but, I'm sure if I go back deep enough, I can think of some exes who might fit the term.
Are you worried that any one of those previous exes might come up and read the book?
No, not at all. I hope they do.
So again, let's go back to the inception of this. And is it a situation where you kind of daydream, your mind kind of wanders, you come across this title, or what were you thinking before you came across this title? What's the thought process involved in this?
Well, I've done a number of horror novels with Hachette, which is such a wonderful publisher to work with. I want to give them a quick shout out. And when you're as an author, when you're conceptualizing a book and you're in a genre, you start looking at the tropes and then you say, well, how can I turn this trope on its head or reinvent it in some way? And so I wanted to take on the Antichrist, but it comes with its own package, which was really defined by The Omen. And I wanted to kind of redo that and bring it into the modern era and tell it not so much that where it's about the Antichrist, but it's about other things, other themes, like using the Antichrist not only as a horror trope, but as a device to explore a woman's finding her voice. She had a very religious upbringing that was somewhat oppressive. She's trying to find her voice. She meets the Antichrist, they date, and he's helping her find herself, but he turns out to be even more oppressive. And so the novel's about her finding herself in this discovery, not only in relationships, but through music, and just learning to express herself and be who she is without needing either one to define her.
Now, when I talk to actors, especially the actors who play villains, they say they have always got to find the nice side of the villain. In other words, the villain doesn't believe he's a villain. So I'm asking that question only because, does the Antichrist want to find love? Does he think he's going to find love, or is he just exploitive?
Yeah, that's a really good question. In this story, he doesn't know who he is yet. And so he's, I guess, what you would call a narcissist. Very charismatic, extremely charismatic guy, beautifully talented musician, really good looking, and just seems to be this man of Lily's dreams. But the narcissism starts to come through him more and more, and then as they do more and more rock shows together when they form their band, they're starting to see like some really weird things happen at the shows. And it starts to ruin the one thing that matters more to her than anything, which is the music. And that explains the breakup. After the breakup, he starts to really realize who he is. But even then, it's hard to hate him. He's a tragic figure. This is a character in religion and mythology who stands for freedom, and yet he's the least free of us. He's doomed by destiny to fulfill this plan to end the world, and he doesn't really have a choice in it. He's evil, but he's also a tragic figure in the story.
You mentioned earlier that the heroine in the story has a religious background. Mm-hmm. Did you feel that was important? And is this literally a case of a battle between good versus evil?
There is a battle of good versus evil, but and Lily is good, the protagonist, but she's kind of caught in the middle. This is a game, a script, because if God wants to end the world, he can just snap his fingers and end the world. There doesn't have to be all this suffering. There doesn't have to be an Antichrist. There doesn't have to be all of this. But there's a story that needs to be told at the cosmic level, and Lily is caught in the middle of this and kind of represents humanity. So she's trying to make her own choices within this big plan that's happening. And I wanted to give her the religious upbringing to kind of set the stage that there is some religion in this story. For her, it was a good thing and a bad thing. She likes some things about it, and she is a believer, but she found it oppressive. Like her parents were using religion to tell her how to live her life and who her friends could be and how to dress and even what her career should be. And she just wants to make her own choices and be a musician. So as much as she likes her religious childhood, there's a source of conflict there. And Drake, the Antichrist, gives her a way to get out of all of that and find her own way. But his path is to follow every impulse you have and get rid of every inhibition, and that's simply not her. So there is religion in this, in that you can't escape it. If it's the Antichrist, you're going to have some religion in that. There's all these different interpretations of who the Antichrist is and what does it mean. The biblical passages are very murky on it, but so there's a lot of lore, and all that lore is explored and just made fun in this story. It's a source of horror, but also a source of wonder and a source of learning for the reader, and of course, a lot of fun.
In your version of the Antichrist, does he just feel that he's misunderstood?
He feels like it's his turn, and he's going to free humanity. So he feels that God is sort of like Lily's father, oppressive, lots of rules. Just do it and love me. And the Antichrist is saying, you can just do whatever you want, do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law, basically. And that is not what Lily is after. She wants freedom, but she believes freedom comes with responsibility.
In the past, as I said, we've talked to you on two separate occasions before about two of your other books. How many books have you written altogether?
I've honestly lost count. Probably over 30.
Wow.
I've written for big presses like Simon & Schuster and Hachette, the Orbit, in this case, the Run For It imprint, the horror imprint. And then I've also done some small press titles, which were sort of my roots. And then I do a lot of self-publishing and military fiction, mostly World War II and some other genres. I've gotten to a point where I've trained my brain to write very efficiently, and so I can produce a lot of works in a year. And I'm not married to a publishing path, so I just like to get the work out there. But I've done, next year there's a duology coming out, and it'll be 7 books with Hachette, which couldn't be happier about, because it's a dream I've had since I was 9 years old to work with one of the big publishers.
And what is your process? How committed are you to the process? And the reason why I ask that question is I'm just wondering, while you're writing a book, do you sometimes get an idea and say, oh, I can put this in this book, or this is an entirely separate book?
Well, I'm such a hardcore linear thinker, and I've trained my brain to think a certain way and have a certain process that if I see a shiny object and I go chasing it, I've completely derailed myself. So I try and stay with the current project, and I have a whole process of sort of mind mapping it where I evaluate the story in terms of theme, the basic plot, major plot points, the character arc. It sounds like a lot of planning, but it's not. It's a lot of note taking for research, and then I have maybe 10 points mapped out in the book that I want to cover, that, like sort of like destinations on the roadmap. Then I can start, I internalize that, and then I know who my character is before I start writing. I know what the story is before I start writing, and I know what its themes are. And then I can basically write the novel very quickly. But that process and the way my brain works took many, many years of practice. There's a prejudice in our society that writers can just pick up a typewriter and start writing masterful works, but they don't have that same belief about, say, someone picking up the violin. It's the exact same thing. You need a lot of practice, and then you get better and better over time and more efficient. And so I'm at a point now where it's really, I can't imagine doing anything else. It's really who I am and what I do. I'm a writer. I just enjoy it so much, and I'm able to produce a lot of works a year.
Well, congratulations on your latest book. It's called My X, the Antichrist, and I envision that it's just going to jump off the shelves just by the title alone. Congratulations on the book, and thank you once again, sir, for being on the program with us.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
Craig DiLouie, author of My X, the Antichrist. You can go to our website at thestuffile.com, check out the show number for this program, which is show number 0835, and you'll find the links to Craig's site, plus links to either Amazon.com or Amazon.ca, where you can order his book directly. You're listening to the Stuff File program with me, Peter Anthony Holder.
Giving you something to think about. This is Morning Shower Thoughts.
It's interesting when you think about it that the oldest picture of you is actually the youngest picture of you.
Morning Shower Thoughts from the Stuff File program.
Got something for the mailbag? Drop Peter a line. He'd love to hear from you. Send your email to mailbag@thestuffile.com. And remember, stuff is spelled S-T-U-P-H. That's mailbag@thestuffile.com. Or catch up with him on Twitter or Facebook. There's more Stuff File coming your way in just a few moments.
Here's a brief word about our show and my book. If you become a regular Patreon patron of the Stuff File program, I'll give you an e-version of my book, Great Conversations, My Interviews with Two Men on the Moon and a Galaxy of Stars. It's easy to do. Just go to patreon.com and become a patron to help make this show an even bigger and better radio experience. So, join Patreon and claim your copy of Great Conversations, My Interviews with Two Men on the Moon and a Galaxy of Stars. Sign up at patreon.com/The Stuff File program.
Coming to you from Canada, a place where fighting is frowned upon, unless it's on an ice rink. This is the Stuff File program with Peter Anthony Holder. Now, the Stuff File presents Andrew Fazekas, the Night Sky Guy. It's radio that's out of this world.
Andrew Fazekas, the Night Sky Guy, is a member of the Royal Astronomical Society of Canada and the author of National Geographic's Backyard Guide to the Night Sky, and also National Geographic's Stargazer's Atlas, the Ultimate Guide to the Night Sky. And Andrew, you know that I've been overly concerned about the arrival of Bennu, but there is a greater pressing matter to befall us. Astronomers calculate that the universe will die in a short 33 billion years.
Yeah, so this is kind of like a new theory. What the expiration date of the universe is, really. They suggest that the universe could begin its decline, I guess, its elderly years in just 10 billion years. and that it would eventually go to a place called what they're calling the Big Crunch, where everything gets kind of like just collapsed on itself. Because you have to remember, where the idea is that it started as a big bang and it's expanded the universe, and then eventually there would be where it would collapse on itself. This was a theory that we've had a long time ago, but lately with a lot of dark energy, dark matter theories going about in the last decade or so, it was looking like it was going to expand forever. But this team of astronomers is suggesting that this big crunch is going to happen in about 33 billion years. And why this matters is that it really challenges this, like I was mentioning, this previous kind of what they were calling the big freeze theory, which proposing basically a reversal of the cosmic expansion due to evolving dark energy. That's what they were been talking about. So the big freeze is really just like what it suggests, is that the universe keeps on expanding, where like galaxies move away from each other more and more, where we're all basically living on isolated islands in the universe. And we, even through our telescopes, we wouldn't be able to see anything. And eventually it would just cool down and everything kind of just freezes into place. It's kind of a really a depressing thought to have that kind of an ending, but this is a reversal where it actually would collapse on itself. So it's there is a scientific basis on this, that this model that they've created in the computer basically is suggesting. We'll see how it goes. It's another model. I don't know. I mean, the universe's end could come much sooner than previously thought. Who knows? I mean, it definitely offers a new perspective on cosmic fate. We'll just have to see what happens. I wouldn't be surprised, Peter, if we come up with new theories in the next few years, especially with artificial intelligence in the computing world.
Okay, well, let's continue this doom and gloom. We on this planet, we have earthquakes and we have hurricanes. But apparently now, that's not just with us. Apparently there are space hurricanes and moonquakes. Explain.
Yeah, I mean, so what these space hurricanes they're talking about this week is that they're basically massive storms in the Earth's upper atmosphere that are made out of plasma. So it's the super hot gases. The idea here is that we were first able to detect this kind of movement of these superheated gases in the upper atmosphere back in 2014 over the North Pole. And they measured it. It was like actually pretty wide. I mean, it was about over 1,000 kilometers in diameter. And it seems to be centered around, these phenomena of space hurricanes seems to be centered around summer months, can happen multiple times. It seems to even happen when there's not much solar activity. We thought maybe this has something to do with the sun. We're at the peak of solar maximum now, but it doesn't seem the case. The fact is that these space hurricanes, I wouldn't worry too much, Peter. That doesn't mean that we're going to be directly threatened. Human life isn't going to be threatened, but it can interfere with our technological systems. So this kind of plasma storms can really wreak havoc in disrupting satellite communications, GPS systems. I would think about those. So it kind of leads the idea that we really need to improve our space weather forecasting. So that's the deal with space hurricanes. I wouldn't worry too much. It's an interesting scientific discovery, but we need to see how it actually impacts our technology. Now, when it comes to moonquakes, though, this is very interesting, especially if you frame it in terms of where humans want to go and set up shop on the moon. So the discovery here is that scientists have found that the moon is slightly shrinking in size, and this is causing its crust, the lunar crust, to crack. And this generates quakes on the moon, tremors on the moon. So, of course, this is possibly, if this is true, could be a concern for future missions. I mean, with humans there, these quakes could pose, direct risk to long-term lunar settlements, especially if we're talking about the south pole of the moon. It's very interesting. And, there's this historical context to this, by the way, Peter, because during the Apollo missions 50 years ago, they set up these instruments that actually recorded similar quakes to what we're talking about, indicating that this is probably an ongoing phenomenon on the surface of the moon, and it's something that we have to factor in when it comes to NASA's Artemis program, where their aim is to establish a human presence on the moon by the end of this decade. So it's kind of crucial to understand moonquakes if we're going to be living and working on the lunar surface.
Well, considering the fact that, we're all about to die in 33 billion years, and we have to worry about moonquakes and space hurricanes, perhaps it's to boldly go where no one has gone before in the Star Trek parlance, and maybe looking for an M-class planet that could sustain life. And apparently, I understand that there's a Université de Montréal study that is doing just that.
Yeah, so we're talking about an exoplanet, a planet orbiting a star that's about 35 light years away. It's considered a potentially habitable exoplanet. It's exciting. It's classed as a super Earth, so it's bigger than our planet. It's in the habitable zone of the star. We used to call this the Goldilocks zone, where it's not too hot and not too cold for liquid water to exist on this planet. So it's not saying that we know that it has life or even that the conditions are definitely like that, but it's sitting the right distance away from its parent star where theoretically liquid water could exist. This is something, that study that was conducted by astronomers at the Université de Montréal. And I think it's really great because it highlights the role of Canada in space research, that we're really working at the forefront. And this discovery really adds of alien worlds that we think could potentially support life beyond Earth. It's a future target for more advanced telescopes that will be able to spy on these worlds and confirm what the conditions are.
Well, let's end on a happy note. Since there's all this doom and gloom, and I understand that astronomers, scientists are choosing the 7 wonders of the universe in the night sky. This is probably something right up your alley.
It is. It's something really very dear to me because, of course, I'm all about the night sky and spreading the good word of what the heavens have in store for all of us. It's a shared heritage, I think, of humanity, I like to call it. And in this case, we're talking about astronomers, a group of astronomers that have kind of proposed creating a list of 7 wonders that are in the night sky that really is all about showcasing some of the cosmos's most awe-inspiring sights. It's similar to the idea of some of the 7 wonders of what humans in history have created, like the Great Pyramids being a great example of that in Egypt. So in the sky, they're proposing things like, and these are some of I would consider the greatest hits for backyard sky watchers who have these items, maybe targets on their bucket list. Like highlights include the Andromeda Galaxy, which is the closest large galaxy, and it's the farthest object the unaided human eye can see at 2.6 million light years away. Orion Nebula, another famous object. It's basically a star nursery where baby stars are born. That's about 1,200 light years away, visible again with the naked eye. With binoculars and telescopes, it looks like a beautiful blooming flower of gas and dust. And then there's the Ring Nebula. It looks like a smoke ring, or some people call it a cosmic donut that represents the explosion of a star many thousands of years ago, all visible from the backyard. And, it kind of offers all of these things, I think, why this matters, I guess, the Seven Wonders, is that it offers a glimpse into the beauty of the cosmos, how vast it is, how awe-inspiring it is. And really, these are the things that inspire, I think, not just stargazers, but scientists alike. I think it's really, really, really cool. And these can all be seen with the naked eye or a simple, small backyard telescope. So it makes it very accessible.
And speaking of the beauty of the universe, this is something that you teach, you share, you educate people on each and every day. So how can people find you?
I'm all over social media landscape. So you can find me on Instagram, on YouTube, or Facebook, on X, and you'll find me as The Night Sky Guy, sharing all these wonderful wonders that you can see in your night sky wherever you are around the world.
Thank you very much, Andrew.
My pleasure. Clear skies.
Andrew Fazekas, The Night Sky Guy. You can go to our website at thestuffile.com to the page for this show, which is show number 0835, and you'll find links to Andrew's site to get your own personal autographed copy of his books. You're listening to the Stuff File program with me, Peter Anthony Holder. And boys and girls, it's that moment you've all been waiting for. It's time now for the Idiot of the Day.
And now it's time for the strange things adults do. The Stuff File presents the Idiot of the Day.
I keep saying this, that social media will be the downfall of criminal elements, and this is yet the latest edition. A former U.S. Postal Service letter carrier admitted a 3-year conspiracy to steal credit and debit cards and checks from the mail, using them to fund luxury purchases and international travel. 31-year-old Marianne McDermott earned $56,000 annually, but used her Instagram to document her lavish lifestyle, including trips, designer goods, and a Tesla. After over 100 cards were reported stolen on McDermott's route, an investigation led to her being caught red-handed sorting stolen mail. When authorities searched her home, they recovered 133 credit and debit cards, 16 treasury checks, and 18 stolen gift cards. McDermott pleaded guilty to bank fraud conspiracy, facing up to 30 years in prison. Now, why, oh why, would you regularly steal on your own mail route, then tout your lavish lifestyle and your ill-gotten gains on Instagram for all the world to see? One reason, and one reason only: you're an idiot!
Gee, I'm only a kid, but even I know you're an idiot.
And that's it for this edition of the Stuff File program, number 0835. Hope you enjoyed it. The website is thestuffile.com. And once again, stuff is spelled S-T-U-P-H, where you'll find information and links on all of our guests by going to the weekly Stuff File page. Just look for the corresponding program number, and once again, that's 0835. Email me at peter@thestuffile.com. You can also find me on Facebook, Spoutable, Mastodon, and Blue Sky as PA Holder. Check us out on patreon.com, where you can become a patron of the program. Hope to see you back here for our next show on the air, online, or as a download. We're coming to you from everywhere, including KDXRadio.com, over the air on World FM in New Zealand, WNRHLP-FM in Newport Richey, Florida, KZZHLP-FM in Eureka, California, CKUW-FM in Winnipeg, CFMU in Hamilton, CKLU in Sudbury, Local 107.3 FM in St. John, CHSR in Fredericton, and also streaming on just about any streaming service your little heart desires. That's it. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to the Stuff File program with Peter Anthony Holder, a presentation of Flying Fish Communications. We leave you with this deep question to ponder. Who did we compare babies to before Winston Churchill?